Okay. So like I was saying, Ritual has a Ritual router system that they use to basically do node discovery, and that every Ritual router connects to each other, so that basically they do node discovery that way. And on the Ethernet router ritual.net endpoint, we can list all the running containers within the Ritual network. And you can see they have a lot of hello world containers, blah, 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 lots of stuff. But what we actually want to see is that we have a Reppo hello world model here running somewhere in the cloud. And in the Reppo, in the Ritual network, there's one model named Reppo hello world. So this is the node that I deployed to an AWS account, which is this one here. You see that we have two instances. The Ritual Ethernet deployment is the Ritual router that we deployed ourselves so that our node can join the network of Ritual. And basically, we can say, okay, I have a node running inside of my system. There's a router that knows that node exists and exposes that information to the rest of the Ritual network by connecting with the other Ritual routers. So let's say that we wanted to find where this node is running, and we wanted to make an inference request to this node. We can go to the IPs endpoint, pass in the container. I'm not sure if you can see this, it's too small, please tell me. But on the URL, I'm just saying, I want to find the IP for the container, Reppo hello world. And by doing this, you get an IP back. And this IP is basically the IP of our node, which has one container running the Reppo hello world container. And if we see it's 34.249.138, blah, 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 which is basically the same IP that we have here for the Reppo hello world container that we are running. So this means that we can make a query to this endpoint. We can do a request for an inference to this container, and we will get a response back. And I'm going to show this now in here. No, these are spoilers for the second part. But you can see that we have an input JSON that we pass in, saying, I want to call the Reppo hello world container. And this is the data that I want to pass in as an input. I'm just saying a basic hello. The container right now only does an echo response. So the system is in place. We can change the model that is running behind the scenes, but right now is a server that is just basically echoing back the response. So that we know that all the connections are running, but we are not doing an ML model right now, just for demo purposes. So by passing in this input with hello, and by calling that endpoint with that input, we get a job ID from Ritual, and we can then query that job ID, and we get a response back. The response says a success, which meaning our inference was a success, that we were running on the Reppo hello world container, and this is the output that we got. So the basic hello world, your input was my input here, but this is basically showing connecting to a Ritual network, asking for a container with a specific name, making an inference to it, and then getting a response back on an off-chain level. This is basic HTTP requests, and it's done. By the way, if you have any questions, feel free to stop me at any moment. So now we can do the same thing on chain. And I have here on seven tau. I need to drag this over. I deploy the contract to the Sepolia base network that basically does the same thing, but on chain. We are calling the Reppo hello world container here by connecting to the Ritual system. And you connect to the Ritual system by basically registering a contract on their registry, and all the internal plumbing of the networking is being made for us. We just need to say, I want to call this model, and this is my input, and we send that information to the Ritual smart contracts that will then propagate to the nodes and get a response back. And if I go back here, actually, let me show it first here. So basically this function, the SageEM function, triggers an inference request to Ritual. And the way the system works is when the node gets a response and sends a response back, the node triggers a transaction to our contract, so this contract here, and calls the receive compute function. from the node itself. And we are basically just storing the information on a public bytes array, just so that we are storing the response back from our informers request. And if we go to here, I can then ask for the first inputs, and I get some bytes back, some random information, showing that we got a response back. I can show you that this is actually the response that we wanted, because I have a very simple script that does the same thing, but on a script level, and I'm then converting it back to a string, and we got the same response here. So output hello world, your input was the data that we sent previously on the smart contract. And that's it. We can go to this contract, call the SageEM function. This triggers an inference request to ritual that gets sent back to our node. Our node responds back to the contract. The contract then responds to our contract, and we can then ask for the response back that we want to see. And that's it.
Cool.
Any questions?
No. Do folks have questions? No. Okay. I think for me, I was wondering that I guess so like spinning up this like node took us a while, and so I guess what is sort of like the composability here? Are we saying that we've extracted away the complexity of spinning up nodes, right? Right.
Yeah, more or less. I can show you. This was done by a Terraform script, which is a way to automate deployment on AWS and other systems. But Ritual has I can find the code here. The Internet deploy Terraform configuration. So the way that the system is running, they have a way to define. Where is it? Right here. Wait.